Welcome to History Unpacked. I'm Emmanuel Alley. Today we're exploring the incredible story of Africa's decolonization, a wave of change that swept across the continent from the 1950s to the 1970s, ending centuries of colonial rule and giving birth to over 50 new nations. Let's start at the beginning. In the late 1800s, European countries raced to claim African land and resources. This period is known as the Scramble for Africa. By 1914, almost every part of Africa was under foreign control except for Liberia and Ethiopia. European powers drew borders at the Berlin Conference in 1885, ignoring Africa's own cultures and communities. Colonial rule changed everything. European governments took Africa's gold, diamonds, and other resources. They built railways and cities, but mainly to help themselves. Africans lost their land, their independence, and often their lives. But the world was changing. In the early 20th century, new ideas about freedom and self-determination were spreading. After World War I, some African leaders hoped the world would support their independence. But colonial powers weren't ready to let go. Then came World War II. Over 1 million Africans served in European armies. Many fought bravely, hoping for more rights after the war. But when the war ended, colonial governments still refused to give up control. This disappointment helped fuel a new wave of nationalism across Africa. In 1941, U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt and British Prime Minister Winston Churchill signed the Atlantic Charter. It said that all people should have the right to choose their own government. While Churchill claimed this only applied to Europe, African leaders saw it as a promise for them, too. Then, in 1948, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights declared that all people are born free and equal. These ideas inspired Africans to demand change. In the 1930s and 1940s, a new generation of African leaders emerged. Many had studied abroad and learned about democracy and independence. Names like Kwame Nkrumah in Ghana, Jomo Kenyatta in Kenya, Julius Nyerere in Tanzania, Leopold Sedar Senghor in Senegal, and Patrice Lumumba in Congo became symbols of hope and resistance. Cities grew, more people learned to read, and newspapers spread the message of freedom. Trade unions and political parties formed, demanding an end to colonial rule. After World War II, Europe was weak and in debt. Colonial powers struggled to hold on to their empires. The United Nations and the United States pressured them to let go. Some African countries gained independence peacefully, others had to fight hard. Let's look at some of the most important struggles. The Mau Mau Rebellion in Kenya. In the 1950s, the Mau Mau rose up against British rule. The conflict was brutal and left thousands dead, but it forced Britain to reconsider its hold on Kenya. The Algerian War. From 1954 to 1962, Algerians fought a bloody war against France, eventually winning their freedom. The Congo Crisis. After Congo gained independence from Belgium in 1960, the country fell into chaos, with foreign powers and local groups fighting for control. The Angolan War of Independence. Angola fought Portugal for years, finally gaining independence in 1975, but the struggle led to a long civil war. The Zanzibar Revolution. In 1964, revolutionaries overthrew the Sultanate, leading to the formation of Tanzania. The Nigerian Civil War. After independence, Nigeria faced a devastating civil war rooted in ethnic and regional tensions. From the mid-1950s to the late 1970s, more than 50 African countries became independent. Ghana was the first in sub-Saharan Africa, gaining independence in 1957 under Kwame Nkrumah. Soon after, countries like Nigeria, Senegal, Mali, Congo, Kenya, and Algeria followed. Some transitions were peaceful, like in Botswana and Zambia. Others, like Angola and Mozambique, were marked by years of fighting. But the drive for independence was unstoppable. The United Nations played a key role. In 1960, the UN declared that colonialism was a denial of human rights and called for independence for all colonies. The United States, while cautious, also supported African independence, especially as the Cold War heated up and both the US and the Soviet Union wanted allies in Africa. Independence brought hope, but also big challenges. Artificial borders. Colonial borders ignored Africa's many cultures and ethnic groups, leading to conflicts and civil wars. Economic problems. Colonial economies were built to export resources, not to help local people. Many countries depended on just one or two products, making them vulnerable to price changes. Political struggles. New governments often lacked experience. Some countries faced coups, dictatorships, or outside interference. Legacy of exploitation. Decades of underinvestment in schools, hospitals, and infrastructure left deep scars. Despite these problems, African nations have shown incredible resilience. The fight for independence inspired other movements around the world. Africa's leaders, writers, and artists have helped shape a new sense of pride and identity. Today, Africa is home to more than 50 independent countries, each with its own story. Some have become models of democracy and growth, others are still overcoming the legacy of colonialism, but the spirit of freedom and hope remains strong. The decolonization of Africa was one of the most important events of the 20th century. It ended centuries of foreign rule and gave millions of people the chance to shape their own future. It wasn't easy, and the journey is not over, but it proved that together people can change the world. Thank you for joining me, Emmanuel Ali, on History Unpacked. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the events that shaped our world. Until next time, keep learning and remember, history is the key to understanding our present and building a better future.